Breaking news. Miguel Vivanco, known as El Jasper, one of Mexico's famous content creators, who made headlines on November 21st when his home was raided by armed cartel members and he was kidnapped, was found dead on the road with his eyes bound in an area called Lema in the Culiacan, El Dorado region. Forensic experts examining the famous content creator's body determined that he had been severely tortured before being killed, and that after the torture, his hands and eyes were bound and he was shot 15 times.
As of 2024, based on data from the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, it is estimated that Mexican cartels earn a total of $55 billion annually. To launder this illicit money earned from the drug cartel industry, the cartels have spread to every other business sector in Mexico. Restaurants, taxis, cafes, almost everything provides services to the cartels in one way or another. YouTubers and influencers with millions of subscribers are also part of this situation. On June 25, 2019, a new channel appeared on YouTube in Mexico, Marquitos Toys. You would expect a newly launched YouTube channel to be amateurish and not undertake ambitious projects, right? Contrary to this expectation, the newly launched Marquitos Toys channel immediately attracted attention with its ambitious content. In its very first videos, the channel owner tested extremely expensive sports cars and shared his lavish lifestyle, far more extravagant than that of the average Mexican, through vlogs. In one video, he was driving a magnificent Chevrolet, while in another, he was jet skiing in the luxurious neighborhoods of Sinaloa, showing off his off-road vehicles, or riding a 2019 Grand Sport Corvette. However, Marquitos Toys didn't stop there. He would visit luxury horse farms in the Sinaloa region, freely ride horses that have become legendary in Mexico, and showcase his lavish lifestyle to his followers. Not content with that, Marquitos Toys also did some charity work to make himself look sympathetic to people. He took a poor child who had never seen a beach before for a ride in a Corvette to the beach, bought supplies to help him go to school, or in another video, distributed money to people in the lower income bracket living in Culiacan. Thanks to this luxurious lifestyle and extravagant life, the Marquitos Toys channel attracted intense interest and managed to reach millions of subscribers just months after its launch. Marquitos Toys had both status and money. He could easily access places that not everyone could enter and ride legendary horses, but no one thought to ask who this young-faced content creator was and how he got to be this way. Because Mexico is a country with the highest income inequality among OECD countries, where inequality exists in education and every aspect of life, it was normal for people to see such glitz and money. Instead of questioning Marquitos, the channel's followers simply asked how they could be like him. However, Marquitos Toys decided early on to answer these questions and released a video introducing himself, showing that despite his extravagant lifestyle, he still saw himself as one of the people. According to Marquitos Toys, whose real name is Marco Eduardo Castro Cardenas, he was born on November 8, 1998, in the city of Sinaloa and had worked very hard throughout his life. As a child, his first job was collecting stones and carrying water buckets on his family's farm for a low wage of 20 pesos. Later, he mowed lawns in his neighborhood. 4 years before his YouTube career began, he started working washing trucks at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. With the money he saved there, he bought a phone and started on YouTube. Of course, these are his statements, but something doesn't add up in the story, does it? It's not very common to start YouTube after buying a phone and suddenly fall into a life of luxury. Think about how all your favorite YouTubers started out. Which one was driving a Corvette in their very first video? Marquitos Toys was definitely not telling the truth. I always say, the truth has a nasty habit of coming out sooner or later. In later videos, it would become clear that Marquitos Toys had told serious lies about his life and career, and that he had served a shady operation to live the lavish life he showed people. In later videos, as Marquitos Toys climbed the ladder of popularity step by step, he began to frequently say things about his past life that contradicted the video in which he had previously introduced himself. For example, although he said he made his first big money washing cars at a Mercedes-Benz dealership, In later videos, seeing that he was now more comfortable and that his audience supported him unconditionally, he confessed that he actually earned his first big money by selling an iPhone his brother found when he was 15 and using the proceeds to trade in products he didn't name, and that he even spent around 10,000 pesos a day at the age of 15 thanks to this. From this point on, people began to suspect something, because Marquitos had not disclosed the products he was trading. 10,000 pesos a day may seem like a small amount for illegal activities, especially drug trafficking. But for a 15-year-old child to earn that amount independently is quite a high sum. Furthermore, there have been inconsistencies in the Marquitos Toys story from the very beginning. How could he afford such luxurious cars and live such a lavish lifestyle right after getting a phone and opening his YouTube channel? The answers to these questions would gradually become clear through some people who appeared in Marquitos Toys' later videos. As his career progressed, Marquitos began to mention his connections to cartels in his videos, even appearing in music videos that praised and supported his relationships with cartels and producing this type of music. In addition, since his videos mostly recorded his daily life, he began to publish more content as the channel became more popular, and some details in the videos he produced attracted a lot of attention. For example, El Nini, the security chief and an executioner for Los Chapitos, a branch of the Sinaloa cartel, frequently appeared in his videos. If you are unfamiliar with cartel violence in Mexico, El Nini may just sound like a funny name to you. However, he is one of Mexico's most terrifying figures. El Nini, aka Nestor Isidro Perez Salas, is one of the most important figures in the Sinaloa cartel. El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel, managed by his sons in the Los Chapitos faction, El Nini oversaw the armed operations. He killed 8 people, including a 13-year-old child, among them Alexander Meza Leon, a DEA informant. He killed workers and athletes walking the streets of Culiacan at night for no reason other than to prove his loyalty to the cartel, and captured 3 members of the Los Zetas cartel, torturing them before executing them. He also killed 5 soldiers and wounded 10 others during a raid on his group in 2016. As if that weren't enough, in 2019, when El Chapo's son Ovidio Guzman was arrested, El Nini started a riot in the city, causing the deaths of 8 people and the escape of 51 prisoners from the prison. So El Nini was not someone you would be used to seeing alongside your favorite YouTuber. However, Marquitos Toys featured him in almost every video. Viewers who saw El Nini in Marquitos' videos initially reacted harshly to this situation, but Marquitos surprisingly showed El Nini a great deal of loyalty despite all the backlash. While people accused him of being close to a cartel hitman, he released a song called Mi Dicen Nini, with a special clip dedicated to El Nini as a sign of their friendship. His response to the criticism was, "Friendship is more valuable than anything." It was precisely at this point that people began to seriously suspect Marquitos Toys. But the only problem wasn't the people who suspected him. The real and biggest problem was rival cartels. Because El Nini was no ordinary person, he was a security chief known to torture and kill dozens of enemy cartel members, such as the notorious Los Zetas. And these cartels were ruthless enough to respond to Marquitos Toys, which openly praised their enemies, not only with death, but also with torture extending to family members. So continuing this friendship, even choosing friendship over apologizing for statements about El Nini, raises the question about Marquitos Toys, who says friendship is more important than anything. What friendship could be more important than one's life? Actually, the answer is very simple. It's not his friendship with El Nini that is more valuable than his life, but the money Marquitos earned thanks to his connections with El Nini and the cartel. After Marquitos Toys' connections with the cartel slowly began to emerge, people started to scrutinize Marquitos' videos. It slowly became clear that many other content creators he spent time with also had cartel connections. For example, El Jasper, who sometimes appeared in the videos, had over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and his brother was also a YouTuber. He was a proven fentanyl smuggler. At the same time, the relationships of some of Marquitos' family members with the cartels had also been exposed. His brother Kevin's wife's family was deeply involved in fentanyl trafficking. Furthermore, his cousin Kevin Daniel Castro had been arrested for laundering money for the Sinaloa cartel. So, as you can see, the noose was tightening. The truth was slowly coming to light. After all this was discovered, enemy cartels began to take action. They targeted both Marquitos Toys and all the other YouTubers and influencers around Marquitos. But Marquitos Toys wasn't going to stand idly by against the cartels attacking him. The first attack took place in November 2023. A video was posted on the website El Blog del Narco, where the cartel's videos are shared. In the video, two enemy cartel assassins sent to assassinate Marquitos Toys were sitting on the ground, bound and naked, surrounded by armed men. In the rest of the video, the armed men forced the bound assassins to shout, "Long live Marquitos Toys," while cutting off their ears. After this 1-minute and 30-second video, the two cartel assassins, whose ears had been cut off, were killed, and the video ended. In other words, a YouTuber was officially fighting cartels for the first time in history. But things didn't go as planned for Marquitos Toys, because immediately after the incident, on November 14, 2023, El Nini, whom he had relied on and trusted, was arrested, and the real nightmare for Marquitos would begin a year later. Because the cartels, enemies of Los Chapitos and Marquitos Toys, responded much more severely to what he had done. Exactly 1 year after the video of the two cartel hitmen surfaced online, on November 21, 2024, El Jasper, an independent fentanyl smuggler known for his close ties to Marquitos Toys and with over 100,000 followers on Instagram, was taken hostage by armed men who raided his home. El Jasper was not a small fish in the sea, but he was not a cartel baron either. Jasper, who often spent time with Marquitos Toys alongside his brother, attracted attention not only for his connections in the criminal world, but also for his presence on social media. While his brother was known for a YouTube channel producing content about a luxurious lifestyle, El Jasper stood out more for his own activities. However, just 2 days later, on November 23, 2024, his lifeless body was found on a dirt road in El Dorado, where cartels usually dump bodies, riddled with 70 bullets and showing signs of torture. Upon hearing the news of El Jasper's death, Marquitos Toys quickly made an escape plan and left Sinaloa. But it was too late. The fire had already started. On November 28, 2024, Ranch Roll, a sushi restaurant in the Culiacan Isla Musala area that Marquitos frequently advertised and claimed as his own, was first shot at and then set on fire. On the same day, another Ranch Roll branch in the Tres Rios area was also first shot at and then set on fire. On November 30th, Kevin Castro, Marquitos Toys' brother, was kidnapped by an armed group while waiting for his plane at the Culiacan airport to escape the cartels. Although Marquitos says in every video that money is not very important, at this point, money has caused him to lose his friends, his business, and even his own brother. As Imam Kafri Sadiq said, "Those who fall in love with the world suffer 3 losses: endless sorrow, unfulfilled desires, and unattainable hopes." Marquitos' brother was taken captive by the cartels. On Sunday, November 30th, Marquitos flew to Cuba. Marquitos Toys will never be safe again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for support and videos like this. I'm Whisper Files. See you in the new videos. Bye for now.